Right, ready for another deep dive? Today we're going to dig into Indian agriculture,
Okay.
looking specifically at Dhanlaxmi Crop Science Limited.
Hmm.
They're a seed company that's getting ready to launch their IPO.
All right.
And we've got excerpts from both their draft and full red herring prospectus.
Okay.
Um, you know those documents companies file before going public?
Yeah.
Basically, it's kind of like their autobiography,
Right.
warts and all.
Exactly. And those prospectuses, they're just packed with info.
Yeah.
You've got financials, growth strategies, even the risks they face.
Yeah.
It's all right there, you know?
In black and white,
Yeah.
ready for us to unpack.
Right.
So first things first,
Yeah.
who is Dhanlaxmi Crop Science Limited?
Well,
What makes them tick?
they've been producing, processing, and selling hybrid seeds since 1998.
Wow.
That's over 25 years of experience in a field where knowledge and expertise really count.
Totally.
And they have a pretty diverse portfolio, too,
Okay.
offering seeds for 24 different crops.
24.
Yeah,
That's
that's a lot.
quite a spread.
It is.
Everything from like staples like wheat and cotton
Right.
to, more niche crops
Yeah,
like cumin and okra.
exactly.
So what's their bread and butter though?
Well,
Where does most of their revenue come from?
their main focus has been on cotton seeds.
Okay.
Those have contributed a whopping 64 to 95% of
Oh.
their revenue over the last few years.
Really?
Yeah, think of them as like
Okay.
the cottonseed kings of India.
The cottonseed kings.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But, if they're so focused on cotton,
Mhm.
does that make them vulnerable to changes in the cotton market?
It's definitely something to consider.
Yeah.
Like if there's a dip in cotton prices or demand,
Right.
it could significantly impact their revenue.
Yeah.
It kind of highlights the need for them to diversify
Right.
their product portfolio,
Okay.
which is something we'll delve into later.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this IPO. Why are they going public? And what do they plan to do with all that cash?
Well, this IPO is all about fueling their growth plans.
Okay.
They're listing on the NSE Emerge platform,
Okay.
which is specifically designed for small and medium-sized enterprises.
Gotcha.
And they've outlined how they plan to use the IPO proceeds.
Right.
And the bulk of it is going towards working capital.
Okay. So working capital.
Yeah, that's the money they need for day-to-day operations.
So that's like the fuel
Yeah.
that keeps the engine running.
Exactly.
Without it, they can't, produce and sell seeds,
Right.
pay their employees, or invest in future growth.
Exactly.
And their working capital needs are pretty substantial, right?
They are.
Yeah.
They're projecting they'll need up to 2005.77 lakhs
Wow.
this fiscal year.
This fiscal year.
And get this,
Okay.
they're forecasting even bigger needs for the next 2 fiscal years.
Really?
426.41 lakhs for FY 2024-25,
Wow.
and then a massive euro, 558.88 lakhs
Jeez.
for FY 2025-26.
Those are some
They are.
big numbers.
Big numbers.
But what do they actually mean for us?
Yeah.
Trying to understand this company.
Well, those figures show just how aggressively Dhanlaxmi plans to expand.
Okay.
They're not just dipping their toes in the water here.
Right.
They're diving headfirst into growth,
Gotcha.
which of course comes with both opportunities and risks.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So they've been around for a while.
Mhm.
They're the cottonseed kings.
Right.
They're hungry for growth.
Yeah.
But before we get too excited,
Yeah.
let's take a peek under the hood
Okay.
and see how their financials actually look.
Right.
Are they making money?
Well,
Are they a well-oiled machine or more of a clunker?
They're restated financial statements,
Okay.
which basically means they've adjusted their past financial reports
Right.
for certain events or changes.
Gotcha.
Give us some insights.
Okay.
Their revenue from operations,
Okay.
the money they make from actually selling seeds,
Right.
has been increasing in recent years.
That's a good sign.
It is.
Yeah. Growing revenue usually means they're selling more seeds,
Mm-hmm.
gaining market share,
Right.
hopefully becoming more profitable.
Exactly.
But you said they're restating their financials.
Right.
Does that raise any red flags for you?
Restating financials isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Okay.
Companies can restate for a variety of reasons,
Right.
like correcting errors,
Oh,
changing accounting methods, or even reflecting a merger or acquisition.
right.
What's important is to understand why they're restating
Yeah.
and whether it significantly changes the picture of their financial health.
Okay, so we need to dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
see what's driving these restatements.
Right.
But overall, their revenue is growing,
It is.
which is a positive sign.
Yeah.
What about their expenses?
Well,
Are they keeping those in check as they grow?
their total expenses are also on the rise,
Okay.
which isn't surprising,
Right.
given their ambitious expansion plans.
Yeah. Yeah. They're investing in new facilities,
Right.
expanding their workforce,
Yeah, exactly.
ramping up their marketing efforts.
Mm-hmm.
All of that costs money.
It does.
So it's a bit of a balancing act. They need to invest in growth,
Right.
but they also need to manage their expenses carefully
Right.
to ensure that they're actually making a profit.
Yeah.
What about their bottom line?
Okay.
Their profit before tax.
Right.
That's the real indicator of their financial health, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Their profit before tax has fluctuated a bit in recent years,
Okay.
but overall the trend seems to be positive. They
Wow.
are making money,
Good.
which is what investors want to see.
Right.
But it's important to remember that past performance
Yeah.
isn't always a predictor of future results.
Right. Especially in an industry like agriculture,
Yeah,
which is subject to all sorts of external factors,
exactly.
like weather patterns, pest outbreaks,
Mm-hmm.
even government policies.
Right.
Speaking of which, let's shift gears a bit and talk about Dhanlaxmi's strengths and weaknesses.
Okay.
What are they really good at?
Well,
And where are they potentially vulnerable?
one of their biggest strengths is their leadership team.
Okay.
Mr. Kamlesh Patel and Mr. Alpesh Patel, the promoters,
Right.
have over 25 years of experience
Wow.
in the agricultural seeds business.
Okay.
They've seen it all, weathered the storms, and built a successful company.
Right.
That kind of experience is invaluable.
Experience definitely counts in an industry like this.
It does.
Yeah, it's not just about knowing the science behind seeds.
Right.
It's about understanding the market, building relationships with farmers,
Yeah,
and navigating that complex regulatory landscape.
exactly.
But you mentioned weaknesses.
I did.
What should investors be wary of?
Well, their heavy reliance on cottonseed sales,
Right.
while a major revenue driver,
Yeah.
also makes them vulnerable
Okay.
to fluctuations in the cotton market.
Right.
If cotton prices tank or demand drops,
It could significantly impact their profitability.
So their over-reliance on cotton is like a double-edged sword.
It is.
It's been their strength, but it could also become their Achilles heel.
Right.
What else? Are there other vulnerabilities we need to consider?
Another area of concern is their limited geographical reach.
Okay.
They're primarily concentrated
Right.
in just a few states,
Yeah.
which restricts their market potential.
Okay.
They're taking steps to expand into new markets,
Right.
but it's a slow and challenging process.
It is.
They need to build new distribution networks,
Yeah.
adapt their products to local conditions,
Mhm.
and win over farmers
Right,
who
yeah.
may be loyal to existing brands.
So expanding geographically is a strategic priority for them.
It is.
And investors should keep a close eye on how successful they are
Right.
in breaking into those new markets.
Exactly.
It's a classic challenge for any growing company.
Balancing the need for growth with the risks of overextending yourself.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
a delicate dance.
It is.
They need to be strategic and calculated in their expansion efforts.
Right.
Making sure they have the resources and the expertise to succeed
Yeah.
in those new
It
markets.
sounds like we've got a pretty good picture of Dhanlaxmi so far.
I think so.
They're a seasoned player in the Indian agricultural seed market with a strong leadership team
Right.
and a solid track record of growth.
Yeah,
But they also face some significant challenges,
they do.
including their dependence on cotton and their limited geographical reach.
Right.
So in part 2 of our deep dive,
Okay.
we'll explore their growth strategy in more detail.
All right.
We'll look at how they plan to address these challenges
Right.
and capitalize on the opportunities
Okay.
in this dynamic industry.
Sounds good.
So stay tuned.
Right.
Welcome back to our deep dive.
All right.
We're still dissecting Dhanlaxmi Crop Science Limited. Last time we left off talking about their need to diversify and expand.
Yeah.
So let's dig into how they actually plan to do that.
Okay.
They can't just snap their fingers and magically appear in new markets.
Right. No,
Like-
never wait.
So what's the plan?
Well, their prospectus outlines a very deliberate approach,
Okay.
focusing on two key agricultural regions,
Right.
Andhra Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh.
So why those specific regions?
Well, both states have high demand
Okay.
for the crops Dhanlaxmi specializes in,
Right.
especially cotton.
Gotcha.
Plus, they offer some favorable government incentives
Okay.
for agricultural businesses.
So it's a smart move.
It is.
Targeting regions where they can leverage their existing expertise
Right.
and benefit from government support.
Exactly.
But it's not just about planting their flag in new territory.
No, it's not.
They need to tailor their products
Right.
to the specific needs of those markets.
Exactly. Andhra Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh,
Yeah.
they have different climates and soil conditions than the regions where Dhanlaxmi currently operates.
So they'll need to develop seed varieties
Yeah.
that are adapted to those environments.
Exactly.
That sounds like a challenge.
It is.
How are they approaching this product adaptation?
Well, they're investing heavily in R&D,
Oh,
focusing on breeding high-performance hybrid seeds
right.
that are tailor-made for these new markets.
So they're not just repackaging what they already have.
No, they're not.
They're really digging into the science
Yes.
to develop seeds that will thrive in those conditions.
That's right.
That's impressive.
It is.
It shows they're serious about making this expansion work.
Right.
It's not just a land grab.
No.
It's about understanding those nuances of each market
Mm-hmm.
and delivering products that meet those specific needs.
Yeah,
But research and development takes time and money.
it does.
How long will it take for them to roll out these new seed varieties?
Well, their prospectus doesn't provide a precise timeline, but they do emphasize that R&D is a core part of their growth strategy.
Right.
So it's safe to assume that they're allocating significant resources
Yeah.
and time to this endeavor.
It's a long game,
It is.
not a quick fix.
Exactly.
But while they're working on these new seeds,
Yeah.
they can't just sit back and wait.
No, they can't.
What are they doing to stay competitive in the meantime?
Well, they're actively exploring opportunities
Okay.
in another growing market,
Right.
organic produce.
Okay, organic is definitely a hot trend right now.
It is.
Yeah, people are more conscious of what they're eating,
Right.
where their food comes from.
Exactly.
But how does Dhanlaxmi plan to enter this market?
Mm.
Do they already have organic seed varieties?
The prospectus doesn't specify
Okay.
whether they currently offer organic seeds,
Mm.
but they highlight their intention to expand
I
into
wonder.
this market.
It's possible they're already developing organic seed varieties
Right.
as part of their R&D efforts.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're looking to acquire an existing organic seed company.
It's possible.
So it sounds like they're keeping their options open
Mm-hmm.
and looking for ways to tap into this growing demand for organic produce.
Exactly.
It's a strategic move.
It is.
Could pay off big time if they play their cards right.
Yeah.
But even with the best seeds in the world,
Right.
they need to get them into the hands of farmers.
Exactly.
So what's their distribution and marketing strategy like?
Well,
Are they relying on traditional methods
Okay.
or are they shaking things up?
They're taking a very hands-on approach
Okay.
with a strong focus on building relationships with farmers
All right.
at the grassroots level.
So they have like a dedicated sales and marketing team
They do.
that engages directly with farmers.
Yeah, providing them with information, support,
Right.
and expert advice.
That personal touch is crucial in agriculture.
It is.
Farmers
Wow.
value relationships and trust.
They do.
They want to know they can rely on the people they're buying seeds from. But in this digital age, are they also embracing online channels
They are.
to reach farmers?
This is where it gets interesting.
Okay.
They have a YouTube channel.
Okay.
And get this.
All right.
It's in local languages.
Wow.
They're sharing videos of interactions with farmers,
Good, right.
providing practical tips,
All right.
demonstrating their expertise.
A YouTube channel in local languages.
Yeah,
That's a really smart strategy.
it is.
It shows they understand the importance of communicating with farmers
Hmm.
in a way that's accessible and relatable.
Exactly.
They're not just talking at them.
No.
They're engaging in a dialogue.
Right.
But are they just focusing on getting the word out?
Oh, okay.
Or are they actively innovating in their products?
Well, their commitment to innovation
Yeah.
is evident in their patented products.
Okay.
They've developed several seed varieties
Right.
through PPVFR,
Okay.
a plant variety protection system,
Gotcha.
which indicates they're not just repackaging existing seeds.
So they're investing in research
Yeah,
to create unique and potentially superior options for farmers.
exactly.
Patented products are a good sign.
They are.
It means they're developing something truly new and innovative,
Mhm.
not just copying what's already out there.
Right.
It also gives them a competitive edge
It does.
because they have exclusive rights to those seed varieties.
Exactly.
So they've got a clear growth strategy.
Mhm.
They're investing in R&D.
Right.
They're actively engaging with their target market.
Yeah,
All positive signs.
they are.
But let's be realistic.
Okay.
What are some of the challenges they'll need to overcome to make this vision a reality?
Well, as with any ambitious plan,
Yeah.
execution is key.
Right.
They've laid out their roadmap, but their success will depend on their ability to translate those plans into action.
Right.
They need to be able to adapt to changing market conditions,
Right.
navigate that regulatory landscape, and effectively manage their growing operations.
Right. And let's not forget about those inherent risks and uncertainties we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
The agricultural industry is a tough business.
It is.
You know, it's subject to factors beyond anyone's control.
Exactly.
Like weather patterns, pest outbreaks, even government policies.
Right.
How do they plan to mitigate these risks?
Well, they acknowledge these risks in their prospectus.
Okay.
And they outline strategies to mitigate them.
Right.
For example, they plan to diversify their product portfolio to reduce their reliance on cotton.
Okay.
They're also implementing strict quality control measures to minimize the risk of crop diseases and pest attacks.
Good.
And they're closely monitoring government policies and regulations to ensure they remain compliant.
It sounds like they're taking a proactive approach to risk management.
They are.
Which is essential for any company.
It is.
Especially in a sector as volatile as agriculture.
Yeah.
But even with the best laid plans, there's always a chance things won't go as expected.
Right.
What are some of the specific risks that investors should be aware of before considering Dhanlaxmi's IPO?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And one we'll dive into deeper in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll unpack the specific risks and uncertainties Dhanlaxmi faces, both from an industry perspective and from a financial and regulatory standpoint.
Right.
We'll also explore what these risks mean for potential investors and highlight some key questions they should be asking themselves before making a decision.
Okay, sounds good.
So stay with us.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been digging into the story of Dhanlaxmi Crop Science Limited, covering their history financials, ambitious growth plans.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the elephant in the room.
Okay.
The risks. Every investment comes with risk.
It does.
But in agriculture, it feels like the stakes are even higher.
Absolutely. You're right. It's a sector where so much is out of your control.
Totally.
Weather, pests, global market trends.
Right.
And Dhanlaxmi's prospectus, they don't shy away from these challenges. In fact, they dedicate a lot of space to outlining the risks investors should be aware of.
Okay, so let's unpack those risks.
Right.
What are some of the industry-specific challenges that Dhanlaxmi highlights?
Okay.
I know we touched on their reliance on cotton earlier.
We did.
But what else keeps their management team up at night?
Well, one factor they specifically mention is the potential impact of government controls on cottonseed prices.
Okay.
The Indian government has the authority to intervene in the market and regulate prices.
Right.
So if those prices are capped below what Dhanlaxmi needs to cover its costs and make a profit, their margins could be squeezed.
So investors need to keep a close eye on government policies.
They do.
Yeah, and any potential shifts in those policies.
Right.
It's a reminder that even in a free market, there are external forces that can really impact a company's profitability.
For sure.
What else? What other industry-specific risks are they facing?
Well, competition is always a concern.
Of course.
In any industry.
Right.
And the seed market in India, no exception.
Right.
Dhanlaxmi has to contend with some pretty big players.
Okay.
Established companies with deep pockets, extensive distribution networks, and strong brand recognition.
So they're not just competing on product quality and price.
No, they're not.
They're also competing on brand awareness and market reach.
Yeah.
It's a tough battle.
It is.
Especially for a company that's still expanding its footprint.
Right.
How are they planning to differentiate themselves? Stand out in this crowded market?
Well, they're focused on R&D, particularly in developing high-performance hybrid seeds tailored to specific regions. Gives them a competitive edge. They're also leveraging digital channels, like their YouTube channel in local languages, to connect directly with farmers, build brand loyalty.
That's smart.
It is.
They're not just relying on traditional marketing messages. They're embracing innovation, finding creative ways to reach their target audience.
For sure.
But even with the best products, marketing strategies, they can't control Mother Nature.
That's true.
I imagine weather and pests are major concerns
are
for any agricultural company.
Absolutely. The prospectus highlights their vulnerability to crop diseases and pest attacks.
Right.
A sudden outbreak or infestation could wipe out entire crops.
Wow.
Impacting both seed production and quality.
It's a risk that all agricultural companies face.
Right.
But it's particularly significant for a company like Dhanlaxmi,
yeah,
which is heavily reliant on cotton.
Right.
A crop that's susceptible to a variety of pests and diseases.
Exactly.
It's a reminder that even with the most advanced agricultural techniques, there are forces beyond human control that can impact this industry.
Absolutely.
Now let's shift gears and talk about the financial risks they've outlined.
Right.
What are some of the red flags investors should be watching for?
Well, one area that stands out is their dependence on external financing for working capital.
Yeah.
They rely on loans to fund their day-to-day operations,
Right.
which exposes them to fluctuations in interest rates and lending conditions.
Right. If interest rates rise or credit markets tighten, their borrowing costs could increase.
Exactly.
Putting pressure on their profitability.
Yeah, so they're walking a bit of a tightrope here,
Right.
relying on borrowed money to fuel their growth.
Yeah. If those borrowing costs become too high, could derail their expansion plans.
It could.
What other financial risks should investors be aware of?
Well, their prospectus also mentions the concentration of their client base.
Okay.
They rely on a relatively small number of clients for a significant portion of their revenue.
Right.
So if one of those major clients were to default on payments or go out of business, it could have a significant impact on your cash flow.
That's a valid concern.
It is.
It's always risky to have all your eggs in one basket, so to speak.
Right.
Are they taking any steps to diversify their client base?
They are.
Okay, good.
And reduce their reliance on those few key customers. They acknowledge this risk.
Okay.
And outline strategies to mitigate it.
Right.
They're actively working to expand their customer base, both geographically and across different market segments.
Okay.
They're also strengthening their credit control procedures.
Right.
To minimize the risk of payment defaults.
It sounds like they're aware of their vulnerabilities.
They are.
And taking steps to address them, which is reassuring.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to the regulatory landscape.
Okay.
What are some of the hurdles Dhanlaxmi might face in terms of compliance?
Well, the seed industry in India is heavily regulated, and for good reason.
Right.
These regulations ensure seed quality and safety, which is essential for the agricultural sector.
Right.
But compliance can be complex and costly,
right,
requiring companies to navigate a whole web of rules and procedures.
And if they fail to comply with those regulations,
the
consequences can be severe, right?
They can.
Fines, penalties, even the suspension of their operating license.
Exactly.
So what specific regulatory challenges do they highlight in their prospectus?
Well, one of the key requirements is obtaining and renewing quality accreditations.
Okay.
These accreditations certify that their seeds meet certain standards.
Right.
And they need to be renewed regularly.
Gotcha.
So if they fail to meet these standards or experience delays in the renewal process, it could disrupt their operations and damage their reputation.
So it's not just about getting accredited once.
No, it's not.
It's an ongoing process.
It is.
It requires constant vigilance and attention to detail.
Absolutely.
What other regulatory hurdles do they anticipate?
Well, they also have to comply with a whole range of laws and regulations related to environmental protection, seed quality, and intellectual property rights.
Of course.
These regulations are complex and constantly evolving, requiring companies to stay informed and adapt quickly to any changes.
It sounds like navigating the regulatory landscape is a full-time job in itself.
It can be.
They need a dedicated team of experts to make sure they're staying on top of everything, avoiding any missteps that could jeopardize their business.
For sure. Regulatory compliance is not something you can afford to take lightly.
Right.
It requires a proactive and strategic approach.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've explored those industry-specific risks, financial vulnerabilities, regulatory challenges. It's a lot to process.
It is.
So what's the bottom line for someone considering investing in Dhanlaxmi's IPO?
Okay.
What key takeaways should they keep in mind?
I think the key takeaway is this.
Okay.
While Dhanlaxmi operates in a sector with enormous growth potential, particularly in a rapidly developing market like India, there are inherent risks and uncertainties that can't be ignored. Investors need to weigh the potential rewards against those potential downsides.
Absolutely.
And decide if the level of risk is acceptable to them.
It's all about informed decision-making, right?
It is.
Not letting the excitement of a potential growth story blind you to the very real challenges and risks involved. What advice would you give to someone who's considering investing in Dhanlaxmi? What should they do before making a decision?
First and foremost, they should read the prospectuses thoroughly. Those documents provide a detailed overview of the company's operations, financials, and risk factors.
Great advice. And to leave you with something to ponder. Given the projected growth of the Indian agricultural sector and the increasing demand for high-quality seeds, could Dhanlaxmi Crop Science Limited overcome these challenges and become a major player in this market?
It's a question worth considering.
It is.
And only time will tell. But by understanding the company's strengths, weaknesses, the complex landscape they operate in, investors can make more informed decisions and navigate the exciting yet unpredictable world.
It is unpredictable.
Of agricultural investments.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights into Dhanlaxmi Crop Science Limited and the factors to consider before investing in their IPO.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
Sounds good.